Hello and welcome to the July edition of our Apsona Feature Spotlight series. My name is Aaliyah Walker. I'm on the Apsona marketing team and I'll be your host for today's call. We're excited to have you here with us. And since we have a packed 30 minutes together, we're going to dive straight into the good stuff. Our main goal is simple. We want to show you some of Apsona's powerful features in action so you can see how you can apply them to your own workflows. A few housekeeping items. We are recording today's call, so if you need to drop for any reason, we will send you the full recording. And lastly, if you have any questions, please feel free to use the Q&A chat, and we'll address as many as we can at the end. I see a chat. Let me check that. Oh, Fireflies AI. Noted. For those of you who may be new to Apsona, at our core, Apsona turns your Salesforce data into immediate action by bringing together clean data, flexible reporting, and powerful merge tools right inside of Salesforce. Apsona has existed for over 13 years in the space, serving over 1,800 customers across 10 different industries. We like to say if you have a need for Salesforce, you have a need for Apsona. Next, I would like to introduce the incredible team joining me today, each playing a key role in shaping your Apsona experience. First, we have Tanuj, our product support engineer, and Abhishek, our support lead, and they will be guiding you through our features for today. So without further ado, I am going to pass it to Tanuj to take us through today's agenda and get us started.
Thank you, Mario, for quick introduction. I will be sharing my screen. Hope my screen is visible.
Yep.
Thanks for confirming. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the monthly feature live demo session. And in these sessions, we will be showcasing the top 3 features which we encountered recently with our customers through support cases, office hours, and customer calls. So we have picked the top 3 features which will be useful for the wider audience. And once the demonstration of these features has been done, you can use and implement these in your DevOps. So with that, with the webinar agenda, we have 3 features which we will be showcasing. So the first feature is conditionally displaying apps on custom buttons. So we will learn how to use the Salesforce Lightning component visibility filter to display these Apsona custom merge buttons to only Apsona license users. So which keeps the layout clean and secure. And the second feature which we are going to look out today is Apsona items, managing your customizations. So we will explore the features of Apsona items where we can manage these uh, merge actions, reports, and import mappings, etc. Then finally, with the third use case, we will be seeing the set sharing, report accessibility for non-admin users. So we will understand how to securely distribute these Apsona reports and assets to non-admin roles using the Salesforce Apex sharing setups. Then finally, we'll have the Q&A session where you can post your queries in the chat. We'll be answering them. So with that, I will start with the first use case. So the first use case on the feature is conditionally displaying the Apsona custom merge buttons. So what it is and why it matters. As you all know, like once we configure the merge action in Apsona through report or the objects, so the next step we do is we create these custom merge buttons in the Salesforce pages so that users can simply go into the record pages and select the button and run the merge action and download the document. As we all know, like any user in the Salesforce can view these custom buttons, though they cannot run and generate the documents unless they have Apsona license, but still they can see these custom buttons. So we will see how we can display these custom buttons to only the Apsona license user using the Salesforce Lightning component visibility filter. So with that, I will move on to my dev work. So I am in my dev work and I will go into the record page where we created the button. So I have created a button in account object for one. I have opened one of the test record. So here we can see I have created one custom Apsona merge button in the account record page. So we can apply this filter while creating the button, or we can apply this filter for existing buttons by simply clicking on the edit. So to edit this custom button, we can click on the setup menu. And once I click on the setup menu, in the bottom, I have edit page. So once I click on the edit page, I can choose the custom button. And here we can see the action code, which we copied from the Apsona merge actions tab, and the button text, which we gave on the prompt text, which we have described here. And to apply this filter, in the bottom, we can see set component visibility. So here we can click on add filter. So once I click on add filter, in the left side, we will get a pop-up. So to apply this filter with any Salesforce user's profile, permission set, or object permissions, we need to choose advanced. Then once we click on advanced, below this we have field. So we need to select this. Then we can choose the user and we can apply these filter based on the permission set or the profile based on these users. So in my DevOps, I have assigned Apsona license to only system administrator profile. So I will choose the user profile. So once I choose the profile, I will choose a field from the profile. I will choose a name. And once I selected the required fields, I will verify that and I will click on done. So once we choose the field, I have chosen the user profile and the name. Then we have the operator. So in the operator, we have contains equal, not equal. So let's say if you have multiple profiles who has the Apsona license, and you may have already configured them with using any keyword like Apsona or their team names like finance, marketing, etc. So then we can choose contents and we can give a keyword so that this filter verifies the profile names based on that particular keyword. So in my DevOps, it's pretty straightforward. I will be choosing equal and I will giving the profile name as system administrator. Yeah, once I give the value, I will click on done. Now we have created a filter and these filters can be applied on the permission sets, on the object permissions as well. So to make it simple, I have chosen the profile name. And once I applied the filter, we have to save the page layout. I'll click on save. Now, once it's confirmed that changes as saved, I'll click on back. Now, since I log in as a system administrator profile user, I can see the button, I can run it, and I can download the document as well. So we can see we got the results as well. Now, let's verify this with the user who has a different profile. I'll go to setup. We'll find the users. So here I have a user's test, and his profile is standard user. So I will just log in as the standard user profile user, and I will go into the same object where we have created the button and applied the component visibility filter. And I have opened the same test record. Now we can see the custom button has not been displayed for this user. So in this way, we can apply the set component visibility filter to the custom buttons which we have created for Apsona doc merge, and we can display them strictly to the Apsona license users. So this is all about the first use case. Hope this helps and you'll start implementing in your DevOps. So with that, I will move on to the second use case and the second feature we have for today is Apsona items, managing your Apsona customization. So what it is and why it matters. So as we all know, in Apsona, we have multiple items like reports, filters, merge actions, layouts, dashboards, chats, import mappings, etc. So with administrator user using this Apsona items feature, we can simply simplify these Apsona items or configure them or make it backup or export them from one org to another org. So the use cases which we have for this feature is exporting these Apsona items from sandbox to production, backing up these Apsona items before making any changes to the org, and transferring ownership of these Apsona items when any user leaves the organization. And finally, we can also remove the outdated or unused Apsona items like reports, filters, or merge actions that no longer needed. So with that, I will go into my DevOps to explain these Apsona items features. Since we have login as standard user, I will just log out and log in as admin user. Yep. Now I have logged in as an admin user, and to access the Epson items, I can simply go into the settings, and in the top of the menu, we can see Epson items. So once I select the Epson items, in the left side, I can see all the items that has been created in my dev with different users. So we can see items like merge action, reports, filters, layouts, and multi-step reports folders as well. So if you want to, so let's say you have created some merge actions in your sandbox org before going live in production, and you have tested them successfully and you got the output as expected. Now, if you want to implement the same in the production org, so you want to create or replicate the same things in the production org. So instead of doing that, we can simply export those items from the sandbox org and import them into the production org. So let's say if you want to export the merge actions, in the left side of the tabular view, in the item type, we can click on the find bar and we can choose the is among operator, and I will filter the records based on the merge action and click on search. Now I got all the Apsona items with the merge actions, and it was created by all the users in my dev org. As an admin, I can see all these items. Now let's say if I want to import few merge actions which has been created recently, I will select these merge actions, which are Apsona items. And in the tools, we can see all the user permission features like update checked, export items, import items. Since we are exporting these items, I will choose export items. So we'll get a help box. We can confirm that. And once we clicked on export, we can see a data file has been generated and downloaded in our PC. So now let's say if you want to import these items in a different org, which is a production org, and we'll consider the same as the production org. So again, then we can simply go to settings, Epson items, and in the tools, we can choose the import items. Then in the choose file, we can choose the file which we have exported in the sandbox org. So once we upload the file, below of that, we can see the details of these Apsona items. Since we are importing merge actions, so while exporting, we get all the Apsona items associated with that merge action. So a merge action can consist an Apsona single step report or multi-step report or the template document. So all these will be exported when we export it from one org to another org. So we can see all these details and we can confirm import. So these Apsona items will be imported in the production org. Now with that, you no need to create or replicate the same merge actions in the production, or we can simply import and use them. So one key thing we have to note here is the object API name should match exactly with the sandbox org and the production org. So once that matches, and if you export and import them in the production org, so these Epson items will run successfully without any errors. So the second use case, the second feature which we can look with Epson item is transferring the ownership. So let's say if you have a consultant or any user who has created multiple Epson items like merge actions, reports, etc. And once he left the organization, the user account will be deactivated. So then these Epson items will throw an error if any standard user running, or they may not get the output as expected, and they will be not able to edit these items as well. So to change the ownership in the tabular view, we can see the owner field. So we can again click on the find bar and we can choose is amount. Then we can type the deactivated user account name. So I will filter the Epson items created by this deactivated user. So now I got all the records or Epson items which has been created by that particular user, and we can bulkly check them using this global check option. So once I click on the global check, all these records has been selected, and I can again go to the tools and we have update checked option. So we can click on that and we can massively upload any field from this user permission. So in the first step, fixed values, I will choose the field owner. So once I click on the owner field, in the value, I will choose an active Apsona user. So I will choose a user account. And once I select the value, which is an active Apsona user, and I will click on update. So all these items has been updated to this new active Apsona user from deactivated user. So with this, we can transfer the ownership of Apsona item records from one user account to another user account. So this is all about the second use case. Now if we look into the third use case, so let's say if you have any old Epson item records like 5 year back or 10 year back, if you have created any merge actions or reports that you are no longer using now, or if there are any cloned reports or cloned merge actions which we are no longer using, we can simply filter them and delete them at a time. So in my dev org, I have multiple clone item records, so I'm no longer using them. I want to simply delete them. So for that, I will click on the name field and I will give the keyword like clone, and I will choose contents. So I will filter these Epson item records, which has the clone name in the name, and I got the records which has the clone. So I will just verify whether these will be useful or I am no longer using these. And once I confirm, I will bulkly check all these records. So now all these records has been selected. We can go to the tools and we have delete checked option. So once we click on delete check, these Apsona items will be deleted. So in this way, we can remove the outdated or no longer using Apsona items, and we can make Apsona free and standardized layout. So with that, we have completed the first two use cases. To cover the third use case, so Abhishek will be demonstrating. I will hand it over to you, Abhishek.
Sure. Thank you, Tanuj. Thanks for the introduction and demo about the two features that you had. And let me share my screen. I'll walk everyone through the third feature that we are talking about today. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Yeah, hello everyone. The third feature that we'll be discussing today is about how we can manage reports and other apps on items for non-admin users, and how we can use set sharing to grant access to non-admin users. So what this is exactly is, in Apsona by default, all users who have access to Apsona will be able to see all the reports, multi-step reports, and other Apsona configurations without any restrictions. So this is like a coarse-grained access Apsona will provide. So today we will see how an admin can restrict this access to make sure only the owner of the reports can see the reports or other Apsona configurations, and how admin can decide to whom they can grant access using the set sharing method. So for this, I'll be showing you a quick demo on my dev org. So let me switch to my dev org. So this is my dev org where I am logged in as an admin here. As you can see, I have tons of reports over here under my multi-step report. So today I'll be using multi-step reports for my demo, but this applies same for single-step reports and other Apsona configurations also, or Apsona features. So this is an admin login. You can see all the reports over here. And by default, let me switch to a non-admin user. This is a test user who is a non-admin user. As you can see, even this user can see all the multi-step reports and folders that we have in Apsona. So this is how it will be by default in Apsona once users are granted license. Now let's see how we can restrict this to make sure non-admin users do not access other reports which they haven't created, and how we can share reports that are necessary. So for this, most of the steps will be in Salesforce setup. So let me switch to setup. So first, let's change the sharing settings so that Apsona items are not shared to everyone. So by default, Apsona items will be shared with all the users. As you can see, it has public read only, public read only. So all users can access it. Now let's edit this, and in Apsona item, I'll mark it as private. So when I mark it private, only users who have access to this Apsona item will be able to see. So that is the first step. The second step for this is we need to update the profiles. So all the profiles that have access to Apsona, we need to update this profile to make changes to how they access the Apsona items. So let's see what we need to do here. So I have my test user having the custom support profile. So I'll edit this profile. So here, once again, I need to find the Apsona items. As you can see here, Apsona items, we have read, create, edit, delete, view all and modify all permissions by default. So we need to remove this view all and modify all permission for this profile. So once we do this, this profile will not have access to any of the Apsona items that we have in Apsona. So here what's happening is, if we observe, we have removed view all and modify all for all the Apsona items. But for Apsona to run efficiently or effectively, there are configurations that are necessary. So we need to make sure these configurations are still accessible for this user. So let's see how we make this available for all the users, for which I'll again go back to sharing settings. So this is one of the very important step over here. So let me go back to Apsona item sharing rules. So I will add a rule over here to allow all users the access to the config item. So I'll show you how that is done. So I'll be selecting a rule type which is based on criteria. And here I will be choosing the item type. So wherever item type equals config, I'll make sure this is accessible for all the users. So here I'll select the public group and I'll select all internal users, and I'll set access level as read only, and I'll save this. So what this does is the reports and other parts of Apsona items will be hidden, but the configurations which are necessary for Apsona to run effectively will be made available for all the users. So now after making these changes, let's see what is the impact of it. So this is my test user, which is a non-admin user. Let me refresh this. And as you can see now, all the reports are gone. So this user can only see if they create any report on their own. So since this user did not have any report that they own, none of the reports are showing up over here. So now the admin has the power or the control to make sure who can see the reports and who cannot see the reports. So there is one additional step which we need to add here for making sure admin can share the reports to non-admin users. That is, as I mentioned earlier in sharing settings, we made our Apsona items. That is, let me refresh this so that it takes effect. So let me give a quick intro of what I am doing now. So in the sharing settings, I had granted access to the configurations which are necessary for Apsona to run. So in the same way, if an admin has to grant read access to reports, let's say multi-step reports for a non-admin user, first, in the sharing rule, we need to ensure the item type multi-step report is accessible to all users. So for that, we have a set of config values. For multi-step report, it is multi-step report, which is in camel casing. And I'll also add multi-step report folder because multi-step reports can be available in different folders. So let's call it multi-step report folder. That's how it should be. Let me make sure there is no typo here. So now I am letting all users to be able to see multi-step report and multi-step report folder if they have access to it. So just by setting here will not give them access. The admin has to still share the reports and only then the user will be able to see. Now that I have updated this sharing settings for Apsona items, let's see how an admin can grant access to the users. Let me just clear cache. This clear cache is a very important step in Apsona, which makes sure the cache is updated and all the settings are up to date for what we have done recently. So let's give it a moment. And it's still loading. Yep, I'm back over here. So now let's see how an admin can share these reports with non-admin users. So for which, let me filter it down to few set of reports that I want to share. Let's say I want to share the reports that I own, and I will only choose multi-step report. I'll also choose multi-step report folder. So I have around 27 here. For instance, let me select everything, and we need to go to tools, and we have set sharing option over here. So here, once I come to set sharing, all I need to do is I can either create a group and add users to that group, or select the user to whom I want to share this Apsona items. So, and I'll click share and we'll give it a moment for it to update. So now set sharing has been added. Let's see how it impacts the non-admin user. So this is a non-admin user again. And as of now, we don't see any reports. So once I added the set sharing, you can see all the reports I used to own is available for this user to run. And again, they do not have edit access. They can only run this over here. So this is how an admin can control who can view the reports and who is the owner of the report and how they can restrict access to any reports that are available in Apsona. So this is how the site sharing helps admins to maintain or manage the reports and other Apsona items, not just reports, be it multi-step report, single-step report, or any other Apsona items based on the profile and access level. So here another step that I just want to let you guys know is that if you want a non-admin user to be able to share the reports that they have access to, all we have to do is go to that user's profile and we need to add few permissions. That is, let's call it as, let me scroll it down. Yeah, so we have manage users and modify all data permission here. If we grant this, even a non-admin user can do that set sharing option. But one thing we need to keep in mind is these two permissions will give kind of an admin permissions to the users. So whenever we are using this, we need to be very mindful of whom we are granting this, because this user gets an admin access. This is only when if you want a non-admin user have access to share reports and other Apsona items. So that is the feature that I wanted to demonstrate today. So this is how we can use, we can restrict access to non-admin user and use set sharing to give access to different users. So that brings us to the end of today's feature demo. I'll stop sharing and we'll see if you have any questions.
I think there were two questions in the chat that got answered. Just in case people didn't see it, it was a question about does Apsona items include Apsona grids? And grids are not available under Apsona items. And does this work for those who only have viewer licenses and are not creators? And yes, is the answer. It also works with users with view-only licenses. Are there any other questions that we can answer? We've got about 4 or so minutes left. I can share this screen. My screen share is not working, but I would like to share a slide to catch you guys' feedback, but we will be sending the recording with the link to share any feedback or any features you want to see in the next time. Will these instructions be posted? We will provide the recording after if that helps, and Apsona support is always available under office hours on our website, and we also do have support documentation listed.
Yes, that's right. And we have these instructions in our FAQs in our roadmap website. We'll keep updating if any new instructions are there.
Thank you. Well, if there aren't any other questions, I will give everyone about 3 minutes of their day back. Thank you so much for joining, and be on the lookout for the recording and follow-up. Thank you. Have a good Thursday, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone.
Yes.